Hey everyone, it's Jesse with Lawn Life, and it's that time of the year where we're gonna get our lawn looking better than it has all year long. Basically, this is the time where we pump our lawn with steroids. We're gonna get this thing looking absolutely awesome, and we're gonna get it ready for next year so it can get through the winter and come back in spring looking as good as possible. Now, as soon as the high temperatures start dropping below 80 degrees, that's when you know it's time to start going with your fall fertilizer plan. Now, I've been doing this the last couple years, and I have 100% reaped the benefits of doing this. My lawn has totally transformed, not only in the fall, but the following spring. Kentucky bluegrass is one of the slowest grasses to green up in the spring, and my lawn was like dark green coming out of winter last year compared to all of my neighbors' yellow lawns. I was actually out there mowing at the end of April in Minnesota, which is absolutely unheard of, and the lawn looked great for just coming out of winter. Now with this plan, we are going to be loading up on the nitrogen. Now the nitrogen that I prefer to use is a fast release nitrogen. That way you can control how much you're putting down and when you're putting it down. When you put down slow release, you don't really know how much is being released at what time, so it makes this process a little bit more difficult if you're going to time it out like I'm going to explain in this video. Now there's a couple different fertilizers you can find that are fast acting. Two of the most common are Urea, which is a 46% nitrogen, 4600, or Ammonium Sulfate, which is a 2100, which means 21% nitrogen. Those are both fast release fertilizers, and they basically both do the same thing. Now for the price for what you're getting with those percentages of nitrogen, you are going to get the best bang for your buck, and it's fast release. Yes, you can put down slow release fertilizers, but I would recommend finding a fertilizer that has at least some fast acting nitrogen in it. You want to be able to control how much nitrogen you're putting down, because with slow release fertilizers, you just don't know when it's being released, how much it's being released, and how long it's going to be before it's completely done releasing that fertilizer. I think slow release fertilizers are great in the spring and summer, but for fall, when we're really trying to attack and push the growth, I would go with the fast acting nitrogen. Now per your soil test, if you are low in potassium or phosphorus, you can apply those separately in a different application. Now, where can you find these two products? Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to find Urea or Ammonium Sulfate at Lowe's, Home Depot, Walmart, any of those big box stores. For Urea, you're going to have to go to a local feed store. They're going to have bags of Urea there. And for Ammonium Sulfate, you can just go to a local turf supplier and they are going to have Ammonium Sulfate. Now there's a couple different ways to attack this. For those of you with healthy lawns that are established, that look good, that don't have that many bare spots, that it's pretty dense, I would recommend only putting down 0.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet every 2 weeks. That'll be enough for get your grass to be actively growing, stimulate that root growth, but you're not gonna just push it absolutely nuts because it really doesn't need it at this point. It's dense, it's healthy, it's good to go. Giving it 0.5 pounds of nitrogen every 2 weeks is going to be plenty. Now for those of you with thin lawns that look very sick coming out of summer, that have bare spots that need to fill in, that look almost have a tint of yellow to it, I would recommend putting down 0.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet every week. Now, the con that comes with this is there's going to be a lot of mowing. You're going to have to mow 2 or 3 times a week to keep up with this pace because you're giving it so much nitrogen. But I promise you, you are going to see the benefits by doing this. Your grass is going to green up. It's going to start filling in. It's going to start getting dense. It's going to start out-competing all of those weeds. And it's going to get it ready for spring next year and into summer next year, because obviously it struggled getting through summer this year. So this is a very important step if you want your lawn to look great, not only this year, but getting it ready for next year. Now for those of you using urea or even ammonium sulfate, I would recommend using a hand spreader instead of a regular push spreader. The reason for this is because you are going to be putting so little inside of this because the nitrogen is so strong that it's going to be very hard to get even coverage with a push spreader. So I would recommend using this hand spreader on one of the lowest settings and then just go up and down your lawn in both directions until you run out of fertilizer. The reason you want to put this on the lowest setting is because if you go on the high setting and all of a sudden you're halfway through the lawn and you run out, there's a chance that you're going to over apply, and then you get to figure out where it stopped, put more in, try calculating how much more. It's just easier if you put it on the lowest setting, go up and down your yard one way, up and down the other way until you run out. That's just going to give you the most even coverage. So I would recommend this hand spreader if you're going to put down urea or even ammonium sulfate. Now after you put this down, this does need to be watered in. It doesn't need to be watered in immediately, but I would say within the day I would water this stuff in if you have irrigation, or put it down before it's going to rain. Now there are some cons that come with having that much fertilizer in those prills. It's going to almost look polka dotted in spots after your first application or two. Now after you apply this thing 3, 4, 5 times, basically those polka dots are going to go away, but at first you're going to notice really dark green spots and maybe a little yellow mixed in there from some spots not getting the fertilizer. Now with ammonium sulfate, the pros that come with this is you can actually spread it across your lawn a lot easier to get that even coverage. And as the temperatures go lower and lower, the ammonium sulfate is going to work better than the urea is. Also, if you have a high pH, this ammonium sulfate is going to help lower that pH. You won't see an extreme amount coming down, but it's going to help lower it a little bit. So how do you calculate these fertilizer rates? It is very simple. Let's say you want to put down 0.5 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet and you're using ammonium sulfate, which is 21% nitrogen. What you're going to do is you're going to open up your calculator, and the first number you're going to put in is the amount of nitrogen you want to put down per 1,000 square feet. So you want to put down 0.5 pounds of nitrogen, and you're going to divide that by how much nitrogen is in that fertilizer. This one says 2100, which means 21%, so you're going to go 0.5 divided by 0.21, and that's going to give you 2.38 pounds. Now, what that 2.38 pounds is telling you is you need to put down 2.38 pounds per 1,000 square feet over your lawn. So let's say you have a 10,000 square foot lawn. You're going to times 2.38 times 10, which is going to give you 23.8 pounds that you want to spread evenly across your lawn with that ammonium sulfate. And you can do that, you can switch that first number with however many pounds of nitrogen you want to put down. If you want to put down 0.75 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet, switch that first number to 0.75 and divide it by the percentage on the bag. Now, as the temperatures start to cool down even more and more, you're going to notice that your grass is going to slow down its growth. Once your grass stops growing, there's no need to put down more fertilizer. All you're going to be doing is wasting fertilizer at that point. I would say the top 2 most important things you can do for your lawn is 1, mow frequently. The second most important thing is this fall nitrogen plan. If you're gonna apply fertilizer at any point during the year, now is the time to do it. If you guys have any questions, leave them below. I'll try to get back to you. If not, I'll see you next time on Lawn Life.